Understanding the power of your dark side is an essential aspect of self-discovery. According to Carl Jung, the dark side, often referred to as the shadow, represents the unconscious part of our psyche where all the aspects of ourselves we reject, deny, or are unaware of reside. Jung believed that the shadow encompasses everything we don't want to know about ourselves. It's the hidden side of our personality that we tend to disown, repress, or ignore because it contradicts the persona we consciously project to the world. This might include our fears, desires, anger, jealousy, aggression, or even our capacity for cruelty. The shadow is not inherently negative. It is simply a part of us that is hidden from conscious awareness. Jung argued that the shadow contains both dark and potentially positive qualities that can be constructive if integrated into our conscious lives. By acknowledging and integrating our shadow, we come closer to achieving what Jung called individuation, a process of becoming our most authentic self. Through this process, we confront the parts of ourselves that we have avoided or denied, and in doing so, we unlock deeper layers of creativity, insight, and self-understanding. It's not about becoming perfect or wholly good, but about becoming whole. Most of us live our lives guided by our persona, the mask we wear to navigate society. We create this mask early in life as a survival mechanism, to fit in, be liked, and meet societal expectations. The persona is essential. It helps us establish a sense of identity, purpose, and belonging. However, while the persona is necessary, it is not the totality of who we are. As we grow, we begin to realize that there are parts of ourselves that do not fit into the mold we created. These parts become what we know as the shadow. Often, these elements emerge in our thoughts, dreams, or behaviors, signaling that there is more to us than we consciously understand. The shadow can be seen as the gatekeeper to a deeper understanding of our psyche. It's where we find our repressed desires, forgotten memories, and suppressed emotions. But it's also where we find our creativity, passion, and inner strength. Jung believed that facing the shadow is crucial for psychological growth. When we deny our shadow, we risk it taking control of our actions in unconscious ways. We might project our negative qualities onto others, blame others for our shortcomings, or develop patterns of behavior that limit our personal and spiritual development. Acknowledging the shadow means embracing the complexity of human nature, understanding that we are not merely good or bad, but a fusion of many elements that, when balanced, lead to self-realization. The journey to know your dark side begins with self-reflection. It requires you to look inward and ask yourself uncomfortable questions. You must examine the traits you find unappealing or fear in yourself and others. What qualities do you judge or criticize in others? These are often reflections of the shadow within you. Projection is a key mechanism in the formation of the shadow. We tend to see in others what we cannot face in ourselves. If you find yourself overly irritated by someone's behavior, it's worth examining whether that behavior reflects something about yourself that you have yet to acknowledge. It's important to understand that the shadow is not a moral issue. It's a psychological one. It's not about being ashamed of the darkness within but about becoming aware of it. Jung emphasized that what is unconscious is not necessarily evil. It becomes evil when it remains unconscious and is allowed to act autonomously. For example, someone who denies their anger may unconsciously become aggressive in subtle, passive ways, such as being critical or sarcastic. By bringing the anger into consciousness, acknowledging its presence, and understanding its root cause, that person can channel it constructively. Knowing your dark side involves owning your projections. When you feel triggered by someone else's behavior, take a moment to reflect on why it bothers you. Ask yourself if there is a part of you that resonates with that behavior. Is there something you have disowned within yourself that this person is mirroring back to you? This can be an uncomfortable process because it forces you to confront parts of yourself you would rather not see. However, it is through this confrontation that growth happens. Shadow work is not a one-time process but a lifelong journey. Our shadow evolves as we grow, revealing new aspects of ourselves as we move through different phases of life. The shadow that emerges in our youth may differ from the one that confronts us in middle age or later in life. Each stage brings new opportunities for integration and self-awareness. It's like peeling away the layers of an onion. Each layer reveals something new and deeper, bringing us closer to the core of who we truly are. Engaging with the shadow can be a transformative experience. It allows us to reclaim parts of ourselves that have been lost or forgotten. For example, if you were raised in an environment that valued obedience and conformity, you may have suppressed your natural rebelliousness or creativity. By integrating the shadow, you can reconnect with these disowned parts, leading to a richer and more authentic life. The energy that was previously used to repress these qualities can be redirected toward personal growth, creativity, and self-expression. Dreams are a powerful tool for accessing the shadow. Jung believed that dreams provide a window into the unconscious, revealing the hidden parts of ourselves that we may not be aware of. When you have a dream that feels particularly intense or unsettling, consider it an invitation to explore your shadow. Dreams often use symbols and metaphors to convey messages from the unconscious. By analyzing your dreams, you can uncover aspects of your shadow that need attention and integration. To work with your shadow, you must develop self-compassion and patience. It's easy to feel overwhelmed or even ashamed when confronted with the darker aspects of yourself. But remember that the shadow is a universal aspect of human experience. Everyone has a shadow. It is part of what makes us human. Embracing your shadow does not mean you are flawed or broken. It means you are committed to becoming whole. It means you are willing to explore the full spectrum of who you are, including the parts that society may not deem acceptable. It's important to find a balance between light and dark. Jung believed that integrating the shadow does not mean eliminating it but finding a balance between our conscious and unconscious selves. It's about recognizing that both sides of our nature have value and that we need both to be complete. The light represents our conscious awareness, rationality, and aspirations, while the dark represents the unknown, irrational, and instinctual aspects of our psyche. Both are necessary for a balanced and fulfilling life. By embracing your shadow, you gain a deeper understanding of yourself and others. You become less judgmental, more empathetic, and more authentic in your interactions. You start to see that everyone has a shadow, and this realization fosters a sense of compassion and connection. Instead of projecting your shadow onto others, you begin to own your stuff, take responsibility for your emotions and actions, and stop blaming others for your discomfort. This shift leads to healthier relationships and a more profound sense of inner peace. Shadow work is not easy. It requires courage, honesty, and a willingness to face discomfort. However, the rewards are immense. It leads to greater self-awareness, emotional resilience, and inner strength. It opens the door to deeper self-love and acceptance. When you stop denying the darker aspects of yourself, you become more aligned with your true essence. You start to live from a place of authenticity rather than fear or shame. You stop seeking validation from others because you know who you are and accept yourself fully. Integrating the shadow also enhances your creativity. Many of history's greatest artists, writers, and thinkers have tapped into their shadows to produce their most profound work. The shadow is a wellspring of untapped potential, holding the key to new ideas, insights, and expressions. By embracing the shadow, you open yourself to new possibilities and perspectives, breaking free from the limitations of your conscious mind. You become more open to the unknown, more willing to take risks, and more capable of seeing the world in new and imaginative ways. The power of knowing your dark side is that it brings you closer to your true self. It strips away the masks and defenses you have built to protect yourself and reveals the raw, unfiltered essence of who you are. It allows you to reclaim the parts of yourself that have been buried or denied and to integrate them into your conscious awareness. This process of integration leads to a more authentic, fulfilling, and meaningful life. You start to see yourself as a whole being, not just a collection of separate parts. You begin to understand that you are not defined by your persona or your shadow but by the unique, complex, and ever-evolving dance between the two. Knowing your dark side also empowers you to live with greater purpose and intention. When you are aware of your shadow, you become more mindful of your choices and actions. You start to recognize the patterns and behaviors that no longer serve you and consciously choose to change them. You stop being driven by unconscious impulses and start to live more deliberately. You begin to see your life as a reflection of your inner world, and you take responsibility for shaping that world in a way that aligns with your highest values and aspirations. The shadow is not something to be feared or avoided but embraced and integrated. It is a source of immense power and potential, a gateway to self-discovery and transformation. By knowing your dark side, you become more whole, more authentic, and more aligned with your true self. You stop living in fear of your darkness and start to see it as a vital part of who you are. You begin to understand that the shadow is not your enemy but your ally, guiding you toward a deeper, richer, and more meaningful life. The power of knowing your dark side lies in the freedom it brings. When you stop hiding from your shadow, you free yourself from the constraints of your persona. You stop living according to the expectations of others and start living according to your truth. You become less concerned with how you are perceived and more focused on who you are becoming. You stop being afraid of your darkness and start to see it as a source of strength and wisdom. Ultimately, the journey of shadow work is a journey toward self-love. It's about embracing all aspects of yourself, including the parts you have been taught to fear or reject. It's about realizing that you are not perfect and that perfection is not the goal. The goal is wholeness, authenticity, and self-acceptance. When you know your dark side, you stop seeking approval from the outside world and start finding validation within. You start to see yourself as a complex, multifaceted being with both light and dark, and you begin to love yourself in your entirety. This journey is not easy, but it is worth it. It requires courage, commitment, and a willingness to look within. But the rewards are profound. When you know your dark side, you become more authentic, more empowered, and more aligned with your true self. You stop living in fear of your darkness and start to see it as a source of strength and wisdom. You begin to understand that the shadow is not your enemy but your ally, guiding you toward a deeper, richer, and more meaningful life. In the end, knowing your dark side is about reclaiming your power. It's about stepping into the fullness of who you are, embracing both your light and your dark, and living from a place of truth and authenticity. It's about recognizing that you are a whole, complex, and ever-evolving being, and that every part of you has value and purpose. When you know your dark side, you stop living in fear of your shadow and start to see it as a source of strength, wisdom, and potential. You begin to understand that the shadow is not your enemy but your ally, guiding you toward a deeper, richer, and more meaningful life. By embracing your shadow, you open yourself to the fullness of life, with all its joys, sorrows, challenges, and triumphs. You start to see the beauty in the complexity of human experience and find peace in knowing that you are a part of that grand tapestry. You become more compassionate, more understanding, and more connected to yourself and others. You start to live from a place of love rather than fear, and in doing so, you unlock the true power of knowing your dark side. In embracing your shadow, you awaken to your deepest truth. You step into your power, owning both your light and your dark, and begin to live from a place of wholeness. You start to see that the shadow is not something to be feared but a vital part of who you are, a source of immense potential, creativity, and wisdom. And in this realization, you find the freedom to be your most authentic self, to live your most authentic life, and to experience the true power of knowing your dark side.